Makima is one of the most fascinating characters in Chainsaw Man, which is saying something when you have the mentally twisted Denji, the broken Aki, the cracked power and the mad dog Kishibe. Yet among such a cast, Makima stands out to me as the one with the highest level of distortion within her worldview and personal goals. For Makima, who is a character which always seems to be in control and is the very embodiment of control, the fact that she can't control her own worldview and suffers from a skewed view of reality really points success to the fact that below it all, she is just as alien and abnormal as any other character in the story. But before I get into the actual discussion, allow me to welcome those of you who are new to my channel. I am the Anonymous Weeb, and if you are interested in discussions on Chainsaw Man, and other random nerdy or weeb topics, you're in the right place, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am hoping to reach 500 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'd love have you along for the ride. For those of you who are familiar with me, I welcome you back, and now let us get on with the video. Makima's distortion is most clearly seen in her love and hatred for humanity. She herself speaks upon how she loves humans, how she seeks to use Chainsaw Man's power to bring about a better world, saving them in the process. And yet her actions speak to the contrary. She doesn't show compassion for the very human side of Denji, she doesn't care for how many lives she must take to achieve her goals, and she doesn't care for the very core of humanity. Makima's love for humanity is a destructive and cursed thing, a love which isn't for the individual, isn't for the masses, but is for the idea. The idea of humanity is what Makima is trying to protect. And Makima's idea of humanity is one which is only visible through her own eyes, a humanity which is closer to a dog and yet isn't, as even when Denji condemned himself to be her dog out of desperation to escape from his own trauma, she didn't show him an ounce of compassion. To me, this suggests Makima herself has the idea of what humanity is, but has no clue what it would be in actual practice. Where this distortion would come from, is hard to say, although we do get an idea from what Kishibe says, as when handing Naruto over to Denji, he warns him that if he had allowed the government to take her in, she would have ended up as just another Makima. This is interesting, because it points to the fact that this contradiction is at least not completely due to her nature as the control devil. And let us not forget, the apparent desire of Makima to begin with was to form equal relationships with others, the very negation of her own being. To give up control and stand on an equal footing with someone is to go against what she is created from. I believe that at least in part we can put the distortion down to how she was raised, as a person, and her nature as a devil. The people who raised her obviously instilled within her the idea of a devil who doesn't want to harm humanity, but at the same time failed to truly impart onto her what humanity is in its essence rather than just its concept. If you were to look at Makima's goal, her end goal that is, and the steps she took to reach it, you could come to the conclusion without context that she hates humanity, from manipulating them, controlling them and inevitable killing them. And honestly, that wouldn't be the wrong conclusion to reach. Makima does hate humans. She hates the fact that humans are by themselves individualistic, they aren't a collective, and in some cases are actively opposed to one another. She hates the fact that humans are constantly endangering themselves by creating these new fears. And probably most of all, Makima hates the fact that humans don't conform to what she believes humans should be. Thinking about it now, with this lens over everything, her goals have this twisted, honest innocence to them, for even as she walks down the path of a monster, she never strays away from the ideal of saving humanity from itself, and because of her distortion the way she chose to do that was by destroying the very foundations of humanity itself, namely its fears. But if we were to move away from humans for a second and look at how she views the main target of her plans, Pochita, we can see further distortion from what reality is and what is Makima's perception of it. From Makima's point of view, Pochita has always been a devil which has sought out the physical contact of others, due to a lack of companionship due to his strength, but in the view of Makima, things are very different. From her viewpoint it seems like Chainsaw Man is a chaotic berserker unable to fulfill anything which he tries, always failing and yet continuing to march forwards, which honestly is more of Denji's outwards appearance rather than Pochita, but still Makima is unable to recognize the person she is apparently describing as Denji. All except for possessing the ability to speak and wear clothes, he is effectively what she described, someone unable to do anything right, failing over and over again only to get back up again, which to me suggests that Makima herself isn't able to distinguish between the image of Chainsaw Man and what she believes Chainsaw Man to be. But this was just a short video I made in the hopes of putting further highlight into Makima's character beyond her just being the final boss or a control freak that wants to take over the world. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Did you see any other interesting distortions in Makima's worldview? I'd love to know. But that's it for this video, hope to see you in the next one.